Hi everyone. So in the previous video we talked to you about how to apply for your Brazilian permanent residency through family reunification, and we went through the list of documents that you need to submit with your application. In this video we're going to give you some tips about some of the documents that you have to submit and some other details that could help you reduce the time of your application. Let's go.
So one of the things that we realized was how important it is to apply in a smaller city. I watched some YouTube videos before applying and then after applying for the PR, and then the timeline that people were giving during the videos, it was around like 6 months to 12 months. So, and then when doing our application and everything that was happening, we realized that, our application was not going to take that long to be processed. So we understand that probably this is because we applied in my smaller city that maybe they are not so busy compared to cities like São Paulo and Rio, where they receive much more like foreigners and are applying for PR, and then they have to process all of that applications, and probably that's not the case with the smaller cities. So one of the things that maybe it's important for you to take into consideration is going to a smaller city and applying from there.
And at the end of the video, we're going to tell you how long our process took and how we could have made it shorter as well. But before doing that, we're going to go through the next topic that I wanted to talk about. It's how to obtain your police certificate from your country of residence. As you know, we are from Canada, so we had to obtain a police certificate from the Canadian Federal Police, or RCMP. So Mariana did some research, and originally we thought this was the process to follow, that we had to obtain a police certificate from the Canadian Federal Police, then send it to the Office of Global Affairs. Once they certify this document, then they would send it to us, or we would get the document and take it here to the Canadian Embassy in Brazil, so that they also declare that yes, this document is actually authentic and it was issued in Canada. So the Canadian Embassy in Brazil has also certified that, and then we would send this to the Polícia Federal, or Federal Police in Brazil, as part of our application. This was originally the understanding that we had, and we checked the delay online with the Canadian offices and the days that it would take to obtain the document, and we realized it would take almost 4 months, no? 4 months, yes. Almost 4 months just to obtain this document. So we started the process, but then Mariana did more research, and then we found out, there is another way of doing it, which is also acceptable and much faster. Basically, from the Canadian Federal Police, or CMP, we obtained my police certificate. Then we took this police certificate to the Brazilian consulate in Canada, in the city that you live, or for us, in our case, it was Montreal. So the Brazilian consulate legalized this document that was issued by RCMP, basically stating that yes, as the Brazilian consulate, we certify the fact that this document is authentic and it was actually issued in Canada. So then our relatives sent this document to us from Canada, and we just submitted a PDF of this document as part of our required documents for the application. Of course, you have to always have the original document with you, but at this point in the whole process, you can just send the PDF as soon as you have the document. Send it by email to Polícia Federal, so that at least there is less delay for your process. Another thing that you have to also realize is all of the documents that you obtain from your country of residence, they all have to be translated by a certified translator. The way it works for this process is that the certified translator that translates your documents has to be from the state in Brazil where you're applying. In our case, we were applying from state of Goiás. So anybody who needed to translate our documents, whether from English or French, they had to be a certified translator in the state of Goiás. Otherwise, I don't think the translated document would be accepted if you do it from other states.
Yeah, I am not sure. I think it wouldn't be, because it's written in the... We received actually by email from Polícia Federal requesting that the translator has to be registered in the state where you are applying. So that's what we also didn't know about that, and then we found out after receiving an email from Polícia Federal with this observation. Another thing, talking about the police certificates, is you need 3 police certificates from Brazil. So one from Justiça do Estado, in our case de Goiás, Justiça Federal e Polícia Federal. For the 2 police certificates, Justiça do Estado de Goiás e da Justiça Federal, you can take them, you can just, online, you can obtain them if you have CPF or CPF. In our case, Bahia didn't have his CPF, so we had to go in person. So you can go in person and obtain the certificates. For Justiça do Estado de Goiás, what I did is just I called the building, the phone number that you can find online on Google, and then after they passed me through 3-4 people, I was able to actually talk to somebody who did the police certificate for me, or for Bahia, but on the phone, and then he told me to just pass by the same day in the afternoon to pick it up. For Justiça Federal, so the same thing, you go in person, you take the same, you bring your documents, but that one I couldn't do it by the phone, so I had to go in person. You sit down with the person, they request, they collect all the information that they need for the police certificate, and then after 3 business days they ask you to come back and pick it up, the document.
If I may add, it's just that as a foreigner, as a stranger, because you don't have a CPF, which is basically like a tax number that they have here in Brazil, they will use your passport number. But as Mariana just mentioned, you have to go there in person to provide the document and the passport number, or by phone, so they check with your passport number. On that note, I just wanted to add also that regarding your CPF, we are going to do another video to tell you actually how we gathered all the information and what you need to do as a foreigner or somebody who just obtained their permanent residency, so that you can get your CPF in Brazil.
Another side note, very, very important, is that if you go to any government building in Brazil, you have to be wearing pants. I don't know where this law comes from. I cannot understand, especially living outside of Brazil for a long time. But please wear pants, because they're not gonna let you in if you're wearing shorts.
Yes. We learned the hard way, because, yes. And it's very strange because it's only for men. Men cannot be wearing shorts. The guards at the door, at the entrance, they will not let you enter as a man if you're wearing shorts.
But I could go in wearing short skirts. So they let me in, but he had to always stay outside waiting for me while I was doing his paper.
Yeah, very important. Good point. Good point. Yes.
Okay. Another the thing that we learned is that if you don't have all the documents ready to apply, you can apply anyway. So as soon as you can apply, it's better, because the time starts counting, and they can start processing your application. So if there is still documents missing, you don't need to worry, you can submit your application, and then if they start processing your application faster than your document is being prepared, they're gonna let you know by email that they're requesting this document. The annoying part of this is that they're gonna send you one email for one document and request that document. Once they receive that document that they were requesting, then they're gonna send you another email to request another document that was missing. Instead of sending one email with all the documents that are missing, no, they send one email one by one and request one document at a time. So just be aware of that this can happen too. And also this can delay a little bit your application too.
So now let's talk about the good part of the process. At the end, when you have submitted all of your documents and they have analyzed your process and everything is good, and basically they're ready to finalize your process, you will receive an email. In our case, it was me, because I was the person being sponsored by a Brazilian citizen. So I received an email saying that I have to go to the office of Polícia Federal in the city where we are residing, because basically you have to go to the office of Polícia Federal where you have done your application. So they send you a date and time that you have to go there. Very important is that you have to have all of your original documents with you in this meeting, because basically up until this point you have only sent the PDF of all the documents to the Polícia Federal. So when you go to this meeting, it's even mentioned in the email that you have to bring all of your original documents with you. In our case, they also asked for another picture, 3 by 4 centimeters in color. I believe they asked for 2 or 4 pictures for the meeting that I had. Mind you, after when I went, they didn't even use the pictures, but in the email, maybe it's just a template, it was mentioned that we needed to take some pictures with us as well as the original documents. So the meeting was actually very relaxed. I was a bit nervous because we went there with Mariana and we just showed them that we have a meeting at that specific time. Then they came and they asked me to go to the office. And I thought like, oh my God, okay, it's gonna be an interview or they're gonna ask me some questions in Portuguese, and my Portuguese at the time, it was not perfect. But no, very relaxed, like everything else. Honestly, as a foreigner coming to Brazil, I want to add this point. Everything is very relaxed. It's very respectful. Everybody really wants to try to help you to get your work done. Like, it never happened to us that we go to a government office and we come out and we couldn't do what we wanted to do. Things get done. This is one of the many positive points I could say about Brazil. So in that meeting, the lady that I had an appointment with, she just checked all of the original documents. Then she took my fingerprints. Again, it was digital format, no ink involved. And at the end, they also take a picture. She took a picture in her own office for their own records. And I think this is the picture that, yes, they will also use later on for your permanent residency card. At the end of this meeting, they give you a paper. It's actually 2 pages. The first page, it has all of your information and the new national ID number that they give you as a new permanent resident.
It would be like our RG?
Exactly, yeah, that's what for Brazilians, yeah, they have RG. This one for us is RNM, is basically, it refers to Registro Nacional Migratório, right? My pronunciation is good. Good. So you have that number, and on the second part also, second page, it mentions which law was used for this process. I think it's just internally for them to keep the record. After that, she mentioned to us that the card itself would be ready in 45 days. So we said, okay, we come back in 45 days. But we called after 3 weeks, I think you called Polícia Federal.
Yeah.
We called and they said, no, it's not ready, but you can call again next week and it might be ready. One thing that is very important is we didn't know why it's taking this long. And then I did some research online. The cards are not issued by the Polícia Federal where you have your meeting. All of these cards are issued actually in Brasilia, in the capital. And then from the capital, they send it to the local offices of Polícia Federal. That's why it takes a while. In our case, actually exactly in 30 days, 1 month, the card was ready. Basically, we got the email for the appointment that we had on September 26th, I believe.
Yes.
Our meeting was on October 4th, and exactly November 4th, my card was ready. They sent me an email that your card is ready, you can come to the same office to pick it up. And it was done. Now, at the end of the meeting, as I mentioned, they give you a paper that shows your number and shows that your application has been approved and now you're considered a permanent resident in Brazil. With this paper, you can then go to the other office, which is Receita Federal, and obtain your CPF, which is your tax number. But you cannot use this paper still to start the process for getting your Brazilian driver's license, or what they refer to as CNH. So for that, you need to really wait for your actual permanent resident card to arrive. This is very important.
We are gonna do a video about how it was the whole process of obtaining the driver's license for Bahia. All the documents that we needed to do, what you need, everything that was necessary, so he can also obtain the driver's license.
Yeah.
But this is in another video.
Yes, so 2 more videos are coming up. First is going to be one video for CPF and another one for driver's license in Brazil.
Okay, so another point, very important, is all the foreigners that arrive in Brazil, they're given 90 days as a visitor status. So what happens, if your application for permanent residency takes longer than 90 days, and if it's you're gonna lose your status, and what is gonna happen? So what we learned is that as long as you submit your application to the Polícia Federal office before the 90 days expires, you continue having the status of visitor in Brazil until you become a permanent resident. So you don't need to worry about going out of status and becoming illegal in Brazil, because as long as your application is being processed by Polícia Federal, you have a legal status in the country.
And at this point, I'm going to also talk about how long it took us from the date that we first submitted the application until it was completed. For us, in our case, it took in total 4 months. We submitted the application 1st of June, sorry. And my appointment was October 4th. My appointment to go to the office of the Polícia Federal was October 4th. So the whole process for us, in our case, took 4 months. But even in our case, it could be much shorter because, as I mentioned earlier, we lost some time dealing with the Canadian government and the Canadian Federal Police in order to obtain my police certificate. That alone put us behind around 2 months, I would say. So if we had not made that mistake, then the whole process could have taken even only 2 months, which is really, really fast. We were very happy even with the 4 months. As Mariana mentioned in the beginning of the video, we had heard like 6 months, 12 months just to get your permanent residency. And for us, despite all the delays, we got it in 4 months. However, that being said, I know that a process like this involves a lot of unknown, and it's not a set rule. As we mentioned, so many things could help us expedite the process, and a lot of other things can also happen that can slow down the process. So depending on how long it takes you to gather all of your information and your documents and translate them and submit them and finalize all the documents that are necessary for this process, this timeline can definitely change. So that's it for this video. If you found this information useful, don't forget to drop a like for us, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel for future videos.
And if you have any questions about the application, you can just use the comment section below and ask us like anything that you want to know, and you have questions about documents, the application, and we're going to be more than happy to answer them. Bye!